There are a lot of people, and you heard in that report, who considered you an African hero back in 1980. That you came, and some of my own friends, Rhodesians, some of the people I've worked with who were in the Rhodesian army, then became journalists in Rhodesia, were stunned by the conciliatory nature and the addresses that you gave back in 1980.
Yes.
And describe how for 10 years your policies led to prosperity, led to successes in mining, in agriculture, in all sorts of things. And then over the last 10 years, things have really gone south in a big and bad way. Why is it that that's happened?
Over the last
since land reform. And remember that the presidents of Mozambique and Tanzania, when you took the country to liberation, said to you that you have the jewel of Africa in your hands, now look after it.
Yes, we are looking.
Did you look after it?
Yes, in a very great way. Over the last 10 years, we have had Zidera, the sanctions imposed on us by the United States, plus sanctions imposed upon us by the European Union over the last 10 years.
Right, but they were specifically targeted sanctions against individuals, not against the trade or development.
No. The United States sanctions on us are real sanctions, economic sanctions. Have you looked at them? Look at them and you will satisfy yourselves that they prevent companies from having any dealings with us.
But they're very specifically targeted.
They prevent any financial institutions.
But how do you account for these incredible statistics where since you took over, life expectancy has dropped? But manufacturing has fallen.
But I'm just telling you.
1 in 14 people are malnourished.
I'm just telling you the reasons. It's because of sanctions mainly.
But everybody says it's not because of sanctions. It's because of mismanagement.
Not everybody says so.
Most people do. Most independent observers say that.
In Zimbabwe, it's not true.
How to get out of this now? How to get out of this? Do you think, for instance, now...
Sanctions must be lifted, and we should have no interference from outside. The continued imperialist interference in our affairs is affecting the country adversely.
Well, and the effect of what many people are saying is the land reform that really created this huge discrepancy in your ability to farm. We're going to go to a break, and we'll talk about that when we come back, all right?
No, yes, but the land reform is the best thing that could ever
The best thing?
Yes, that could ever have happened to an African country.
We will talk about it in a second.
It has to do with national sovereignty.
Okay, let's talk about it in a second. Is that just political rally rhetoric, or did you mean that? What did you mean?
That Zimbabwe belongs to the Zimbabwean people.
Do you consider...
Pure and simple.
And everybody believes that?
Yes, all people believe it.
So do you consider white Zimbabweans to be Zimbabweans?
Those who are naturalized and have citizenship, yes.
Those who've been living there for years and years and years?
But historically.
Right.
Historically,
the people who've
they have a debt.
Contributing to farming, historically they have a debt to pay.
Yes, the land, they occupied the land illegally. They seized the land from our people.
Look.
And therefore, the process of reform, land reform, involved their having to hand over the land. We agreed upon this with the British, by the way.
Some 80% of that land was acquired after you took office, some of the farmland, and with the various certificates that mean government approval. Why are these people being hounded out of the country? Why are they being
They are not being hounded
off their land then?
No, they are not being hounded out of the country
We've just
at all.
done reports about
Those who are in industry, in manufacturing, in mining are not being...
The farmers I'm talking about. Why is that wonderful farmland, and why are they being...
What are you talking about? We are getting land from them, and that's all. They are not being hounded out of the country. Not at all.
They're being hounded off their land?
Not of their land.
It's not theirs.
Our land.
Even though they bought it? Even though they bought it with the certificates of approval from the government?
But haven't you heard of the Lancaster House discussions and the agreement with the British government? Because they are British settlers. Originally they have been British settlers. And we agreed at Lancaster House that there would be land reform.
But they're citizens, aren't they? And isn't this farming disaster contributing to
citizens by colonization, seizing land from the original people, indigenous people of the country?
But how did that all go so wrong?
That?
How did that all go so wrong? Because when you came in, it was about reconciliation.
No, they knew about it. They knew we had this program of land acquisition and land reform. They knew about it.
But what about the blacks?
And the British
then?
knew about
let's talk about the black farm workers whose houses and shanty houses, who work on these farms, they're being bulldozed in an operation that was called Drive Out the Rubbish. These are black Zimbabweans.
There was no operation of that nature.
How come they're being driven off and their shanty hounds? The farm workers?
No, you're mistaken about the Muramba program, which had to do with slums, getting rid of slums, not getting rid of the farm workers. It had nothing to do with farm workers at all. Farm workers, by the way, were to be given three choices. One, they could remain on the farm under the new owner and continue working on the farm. Two, if they were alien...
The accusation was that they were opposition.
Let me know. If they were alien, and most of them were from Mozambique and Zambia, they could choose to go home, in which case we would discuss the package that they deserved. Three, they could decide to leave the farm and go elsewhere. And also, if they wanted to get resettled, we could resettle them.
Mr. Mugabe.
Under our program of resettling.